Hazur, he said, my question, it's always asked in France, is concerning the 73rd sect of Islam. He said that we came to know that Hadith Muhammad has predicted about the 73rd sect of Islam, and we understand it's the Jamaat Ahmediyya. And he said that, can we say that all the non-Ahmadi Muslims, they're hellbound? Also, he wants to know exactly about the period which has between the end of the Khilafah Rashida after Hadith Muhammad up to today. Were all the sects during this period they are outside the pale of Islam or not?
You see, the most important thing to be remembered in case of the first part of the question is that it is not an edict which was issued by Jamaat Ahmediyya. The words are those of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have been quoted for centuries upon centuries by the Muslim scholars who had no idea of Jamaat Ahmediyya at all, but they agreed with the contents. Even Maulana Abdul Wahab, the founder member of the Wahhabi movement, it has taken its name after Maulana Abdul Wahab. He quotes this hadith very prominently and calls his followers and his sect to be that 73rd with pride. So the question is, why should the question be addressed to us? Why should it not be addressed to the earlier people? Right? All the Ummah believed in this hadith, so the question should not be addressed to Ahmadis. It should be addressed to all the ulama. What have you been understanding out of this? What did you mean? Everybody is hellbound. Right? So when they ask us, they want to excite the Muslim masses against Ahmadis as if we consider them as hellish. While we do not. It is Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said these words. So if they dare to pick up a quarrel with him, they are welcome, that they should do it. But they would dare not. So the question is wrongly addressed. Number one thing. Number two, the debate should not be about whether they will be or they will not be. Whatever Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said must come to pass. It cannot be challenged. The debate should be about the meaning of this hellish people. Does it mean that every member of these communities will go to hell, or does it mean something else? In my opinion, it does not and cannot mean that. When you issue a fatwa or an edict, you issue according to the doctrines and according to a general situation of a sect or a religion. But it is never meant that every member of that sect or every member of that religion will be under that fatwa, under that edict. For instance, the Holy Quran has given a clear verdict. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. Whoever presents a deen other than Islam, most certainly it will not be accepted from him. What a categorical, clear edict that is. Yet the same Holy Quran tells us that those of the Jews, of Christians, of the Sahabis and so on, who genuinely believe in their religion, provided they do good deeds and provided they also believe in the Day of Judgment, they have nothing to fear. So, is there a contradiction? The Holy Quran can have no contradiction. It is exception to the rule. And there are certain rules which always have exceptions. That is why the Holy Quran also speaks very highly of even the Jews, some of them at least. And of Christians, it gives them a very big tribute. There are among them who, when they hear the voice of the Quran, they begin to cry, they weep of the love of God and the love of the Holy Prophet, and yet they are Nasara. So the entire situation should be adjudged in the light of the Quranic declaration. On the one hand, that except Islam, nothing will be accepted. On the other, that people who, despite the fact that they belong to other religions, if they are good personally and believe in God truly and believe in the Day of Judgment and do good deeds, they have nothing to fear. So if that can be said of other religions, imagine how can it not be said with greater force about the Muslims? Because they believe, at least they believe verbally, in the best of the prophets. So they would be adjudged for their denial and rejection of truth when it comes to them, of course. But many among them are innocent. They don't know what Ahmadiyyat is. Millions upon millions of them have not even heard the name of Ahmadiyyat. How could God condemn them to eternal damnation for the crime of not hearing about the coming of Imam Mahdi? Why, it was not their fault. So the beauty of Islam is that it presents Islam, Allah, as a perfect judge who does not do injustice, who does not treat people with even the slightest injustice. So the answer to the first part of your question is covered by all that I have said. As far as the second part of the question is concerned, what about the people earlier? What happened to them after Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You should understand that the moment they began to divide, the risk of hell began from that moment. Because iftiraq is condemned by the Holy Quran so roundly that with reference to the Jewish history, the Holy Quran leaves no shadow of doubt about the division being a curse. When you claim you belong to one God and get divided, that means the claim must have a certain defect in it. There must be some flaw because of which the crack appeared. If the wall is well cemented and well laid out, it won't crack. But if there is something wrong somewhere, the cement gives in and the wall begins to fall apart. So the moment that the signs of division appear, it indicates that something has gone wrong with their faith. Now, in case of two, the judgment is comparatively easier. You can say one may be right and other may be wrong. But it could also be that the truth is not entirely monopolized by one of the dividing factors. Truth may be shared and the fault may be shared. So both of them would have some element of fault and some element of truth. When they further divide, then the element of truth will be reduced and the element of fault will increase. This is how it happens. When they further divide, then the truth begins to recede to a small proportion and the darkness begins to spread over in greater proportion than the truth is. Within a few divisions, the light is lost. practically almost. But as a stray phenomenon, occasional, here and there are godly people with their own lamps, but they can no longer be described as under direct light of the sun. So this is exactly the picture drawn by Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that for the first 3 generations there will be some light simmering on and on, which means by the end of the 3rd generation the night will set in. So when the night is set in, then, as I have said, it is not always total darkness. Some people have their lamps, some artificial lights. Even in the light of fireflies you can see something. So darkness does not mean that every Muslim would be completely covered by darkness. Some would be should be lighted by the faith which they have in their hearts. And then at every century, at the turn of every century, someone will come from God who would relight the extinguishing light of God, or light of Islam, and sort of a campfire will be organized around him. People will come and try and sit there and enjoy the warmth of truth. So Islam will be sort of, as they resuscitate people, Islam will continuously be resuscitated. New breath will be breathed into it, new blood transfusion would be given with the institution of Mujaddidiyat, until the time when the night will be so bleak and so dark, and the deviant will be so shattering that Mujaddids will not be able to do anything about it. They have done whatever they could, but they could not reverse the direction of Islam's decay. This is the main thing which you have to remember. And that is what requires a new divinely enlightened man, new divinely guided man in Islam, who takes his light not from the ulama of the age, but is directly guided from Allah. This is the meaning of Al-Mahdi, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi. See? So when that Imam Mahdi comes, the community which he builds is no longer dark. The rest are dark in that sense that majority among them has gone astray and lost touch with truth. But still, even then, like even after the advent of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, all the people belonging to other faiths were not definitely condemned to hell. So even after the Imam Mahdi, of course, there will be so many who will still be goodly people, well behaved. Within themselves, they will keep the values of Islam intact. So such people are still so many in Islam. It's impossible for us to declare that all of them have gone to or will go to hell. Right? Yes. Think. You understood directly, but it needs to be translated into Arabic. Huh? Right? Yes, and you have kept a good count on it.
Yes, inshallah.
No, previously I used to pity him. The longer I took, I looked at him, his face. Now he has developed a system by which he doesn't miss anything. Right from the start, he's put on the trail and reaches till the end. MashaAllah.
Thank you.